What is the use of all this? Do you find it a bit off that happened? But the provisions of the Constitution 2010 include provisions for civil and political rights. The retired president too has those rights. Do you feel like the Retirement Benefits Act appears to be contradicting provisions on the fundamental rights of every Kenyan?
Yes, on the face of it, there is a question of the Retirement Benefits Act, probably what it was trying to do, but could have used the wrong provisions, is a situations whereby you get a person who was a former president overplaying his hand in politics. But, and to overplay his hand in politics would be a former incumbent can be able to engage in what we can call subversive activities against the government of the day, which could be destabilizing. But I don't think that engaging in normal political activities protected under Article 38, being a member of a political party, helping to mobilize and shape your causes, whatever those may be, that one is perfectly democratic. Because I believe Obama, from time to time, he will never vie again to be president of America. But every time that the Democrats are having important positions, these are what they call the party elders, that you want to come and argue for the positions so that you can have the transitions from the old to the new. So that on the face of it, I've got zero problems, and constitutionally, there is none, as far as the involvement of former President Uhuru Kenyatta is concerned in the activities even of Jubilee. And the cases she's talking about, I'm aware of those cases. Alongside with Degwajiro and some other lawyers, we were involved to some extent in the unfortunate fights from the likes of Sabina and Kanini Kega. But again now, to the issue of these other people criticizing him, we need to understand them. For the last 3 years, they give two impressions. Number one is that we are managing it well and things could not be better in Kenya. But now number two, when evidence is given that things are actually not as rosy as you are trying to make them, their immediate excuse has always been Uhuru Kenyatta, that we inherited a mess. Now, if the talk on the street is, so many things were better during the time of Uhuru Kenyatta. There were Linda Mama, things seemed to work, capitation used to arrive in schools, life was not difficult in terms of taxation, and there was an element in which he could listen to people and change his policies where there was a massive outcry. Here we have the government of the day is tone deaf. You say we are suffering under the heavy weight of taxation. You read the suicide, we have a suicide epidemic in Kenya. Most of the suicide epidemics, when you follow them closely, and for some of those people, they are economic related. And therefore, but more importantly, you see the debt issue, which they try to magnify and mislead Kenyans. The Kenya government is a continuing entity. There will always be obligations to pay debts from previous government. The debts that are not being paid vis-a-vis what we are incurring, they are charged to the consolidated fund. But even the way you could be able to see that in all these previous administrations, for example, we have factored it in the budget and you have 3 trillion new debts. But is there anything serious happening in Kenya? When President Ruto went to Ethiopia, when in every other government, Rwanda, Tanzania, they can be able to say, us, as the Tanzanian government, we've done this. The only thing he could say, we are building markets and we are building houses that are for practical purposes. In other countries, they go for ghettos. So the issue is that nothing serious is happening in Kenya. And this is reflecting in the economic downturn that we are having and hopelessness. Now, people now, because by the former president now saying that I have nothing to do with the incompetence, with this failure, that was going to cut deep. And now anybody who is cut deep, and you can no longer lie. Because you see, if you've been saying it's Uhuru was saying, well, life was not like this when I was there. The government was not dysfunctional. So who else will you say? And now when Uhuru says, if you lie against me effectively, I'm going to respond. Then it would mean, as Kipruto Kira was saying, the scope to lie will go away. And for some of these governments, if you cannot lie credibly, that could mark the end of you. Okay. So I understand the panic perfectly.
Right, very interesting reactions coming from that NDC and the retired president's pronouncements. But even on the other side, he's been criticized a lot by members of the broad-based arrangement. But we can see that even Jubilee and holding that NDC and the fact